Welcome to the YM&Z podcast. My name is Nicole, host of the show and co-founder of the YM&Z community. Today is Friday, which means we meet another YM&Z member. Today we meet Charlotte or Charly, and I can tell you that C stands for compassion. Charly is one of the most courageous, compassionate women I've ever met. She is the embodiment of empathy, and you'll hear why. So please enjoy my conversation meeting Charly. Hi, welcome
Hello.
to the podcast officially, and not welcome to the group. You've been there for a while now.
Yes, thank you so
Hello.
much.
I just had a look at your Instagram profile because I know what you do, and I've seen your workshops being advertised on Tell Me Tuesday. But I had a look at your Instagram, and I'm so chuffed that we have a lady like you on the group
Oh, thank you.
because it's actually something that I didn't realize is close to my heart. My mom was the kind of woman who would make her own clothes and would teach us to do it.
Mm.
And I realized that I'm not as interested in shopping for new. I kind of wear my clothes to death. And I miss her because now when something needs to be altered or whatever, I feel like I'm missing a limb. But anyway, so before we get into all your sewing things, let me first ask, your name is Charly. What is your surname?
Vestli.
Vestli.
Yeah,
And okay, I don't know anything about you except I think you're from Norway.
that's correct.
Okay. So will you explain to everyone how you came to be in Switzerland, whatever you think is relevant about your backstory, and how you came to be with YM&Z?
Yes, I would love to. So my name is actually Charlotte, originally, but everyone abroad from Norway calls me Charly. It started because actually I worked in Greece for some time with refugees, and I figured out Charlotte was quite hard to say. So that's why I ended up with Charly. And also a bit because I worked in security before, and we had to use these walkie-talkies to talk together. And it just took too long time to say Charlotte. So, and now I'm Charly. Even my kids, when they talk about me in third person, they say like Charly. So, but yes, I'm originally from Norway. I'm 33 years old. I have two kids. They're 5 and 2, a girl and a boy. So I came to Switzerland about 5.5 years ago after meeting my partner, Swiss partner, in Greece. So in 2015, I very spontaneously left my job in Oslo, in Norway, to volunteer to help refugees in Greece. I found myself in this situation where I just was reading about the news about this boy who got washed up on the shore in Greece. And I couldn't sleep anymore because of this. So I asked my boss, is it possible for me to just take some leave and go and help because I see they need people? And he said, okay, this is so good that you want to do. I'll cover all your shifts. Go for as long as you want. My plan was to go for about 2 weeks. Actually, I left September 2015, and I called my boss for the first time in December. And luckily, he was not angry. He had also seen me on the news and everything, so he understood what I was doing and why I was there. But it was impossible for me to leave. Seeing all this and my previous life just felt like it didn't matter anymore. Like, okay, I felt so privileged. People are dying in front of my eyes here. I can help. I can be useful. So I decided to stay. I stayed there with another, like with the first organization I came with there, a Norwegian volunteer organization, for about 3-4 months. Then I didn't fully agree with the way they were working. I wanted something a bit more humane, something that was thinking about the needs of the people, asking them first, not just having people standing in a long line or something. I wanted the people to listen to the people and give them what they needed. And so I founded, together with some other friends from there, this organization is called the Northern Lights Aid. And yeah, this organization is still running as well in Greece. And in 2016, my now partner came to volunteer, and we fell in love immediately. And he kept just coming back and back. He was living and working in Switzerland. And then I, of course, understood that it wasn't only for the for helping and volunteering. He also came a bit for me. And actually, just fast forward 1 year, I was pregnant. So it went very fast. We didn't even live in the same country. Where I don't think we were even like officially together or anything. But which was for me actually very good, because I also was burned out. I haven't focused anything on myself in these times, or just at helping other people. I had spent absolutely all my money because I did this volunteering. So all my savings and everything, they went for food and to have somewhere to stay. So yeah, when I suddenly figured out that I was pregnant, I realized I need to leave. I need to get home, and I'm from the fantastic Norway, where you can work for some months and you actually get parental leave for 1 year.
Wow.
Yes. So I hurried home. I managed to get my old job back, and I worked until I gave birth and got my daughter. And but then I got paid for a year, so that helped a lot. I didn't have to worry, and yeah, I think my daughter was about 3 months when we moved to Switzerland. My boyfriend also actually was still in Greece at this time. He was doing his master degree about refugees as well, and he came last month when I was pregnant, and the 3 months after giving birth, we stayed in Norway. But then I also decided to move here. But in my mind, I had it that it was just for a very short time. I had to convince him to go back. But actually, I fell in love with Switzerland. So I really enjoy it here. Yes. I'm a very social person. I like being around multicultural things. I like to be more warm. I don't like to be cold. So Norway is a bit wrong for me. I was born in the wrong country.
Most feel that way about Switzerland, saying
Yes.
this would be a cold place. It's so funny.
And also that I moved to a place more social and more things going on. Everyone else is the opposite.
It's not what Switzerland's normally accused of
So,
being.
so yeah, that's a fun story.
Wow. And you stay in Enge, right? On the border of Enge Vollishofen. So we must be neighbors.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so.
and wow, your story is fascinating. I know I can relate in a small way, having worked for nonprofits. I quickly realized how much of a speck I am in my life and my problems. It really put in perspective the things that I was complaining about. And I think a lot of people don't like to hear about privilege because they think they've got problems and it means that you are without any. But when you come across people who really have, like they don't have luxuries that we don't consider to be luxuries just because we're so used to them.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I mean, also as an empath, I can relate that I came from Africa and I would see abuse from animals or children and poverty. And it must have been like empathically exhausting when you want to save everyone. But how courageous that you did that, and how amazing that your boss just said, go and do this. I think you
Yes,
must have learned um, about humanity in a huge way and seen it in a different way. It must have really just set your values pretty clear. I guess it's like one way of really getting down to what's important to you is when you're dealing with people next to nothing, you really have to like dig deep and find out what's meaningful to you. So for me, it's no surprise that you found the love of your life doing that, because that was obviously very near and dear to your heart, and you were obviously living your most authentic version of yourself. And so it makes perfect sense that you bumped into your one, your true love. And it doesn't have, it's funny how we think timelines, we live by them, like you have to be with a partner for a certain amount of time before you get married and then have children. It doesn't, the real world doesn't work like that. And if you are very self-aware, when you find your partner. That's fantastic. How exciting for you guys. So wow. So comparing Norway and Greece and Switzerland, what would you say you didn't like from the experience of each, and what is the pros of each? Because I'm sure you know, having hopped country to country, what you would take away and what you would add from each.
Well, for sure, in Norway and a little bit like Switzerland too, it's you're not like having a village to help raise your children or anything. You're very just your family, take care of your family. You don't really ask for help.
Yes.
But again, in Norway, if something goes wrong, you're always secure. You'll always be catched by the social system, like
Yeah.
the key to the daycare and things like this is basically free, and
Yes.
you get a parent leave for a year. But then again, you also pay a lot of taxes. But everyone is happy to pay the taxes there because you really feel, especially when you're in trouble health wise or you have kids or this way, you really get the benefits from it.
Yes.
So this I really appreciate there. Like in Switzerland, having heard stories of people having to pay for the ambulance just because it wasn't really needed in the end, that just shocks me. um, but yeah, of course, then you have Greece again, where you also get everything covered, but not everything is as good. But
Okay.
people take more care of each other. They take care of the neighbors. If your neighbor has two kids and struggling, it's no question. You know them already so well, and you just go there and help, and you take them for a half day, or you bring them with you out. You cook for them. That's rare both here and in Norway,
Yeah.
and
And
something I really
community
like.
is so important, I think.
It is. It really is. So, and in these times when we're just so busy, it's so much pressure everywhere. I think it just would help so much to have more people around you.
Yeah.
And I think it's so good for the kids to learn to see just so many different people close up. I think you get a totally different perspective on everything. Very good.
Exactly. I
But in
think that's
Greece, it was, I
that's
must say, a little bit hard because no one follows the time properly. It's impossible to know
um,
when the stores are open. And if you have a meeting at 12, it could be at 2, or suddenly it could be the day after or next week. So it was
oh
very hard to
no.
plan anything. So, but in one way, you also got used to this because, yeah, everyone did it this way. And it took me like a good half year or something to get used to it. And
Wow.
then I started to enjoy it because I guess it wasn't so stressful after all. Things worked out a bit
Just shows
slower.
you can get used to anything. In South Africa, it's the same. In the only rule is that there are no rules, basically.
Yes.
And so traffic light is just a suggestion, and you'll honk at the person who stops because you're like, "What's wrong with you? You don't know these weird hidden local rules."
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine how that would be the same in Greece. But also, like South Africa, community is a big deal because you don't have as many systems um, that you can really count on. So the only alternative is to count on each other. So it is like really, it breeds like community, absolutely. So
Yeah.
we could definitely have more of that here. And maybe that is the connection. Maybe because everyone is so pampered here, we're not reaching for people, which is a shame.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Mm.
so how do you find your community? Is this why you joined Yumi and Zuri?
Yeah.
Okay, I
It is.
see.
And I think
And
especially as an expat, it's so important to have a community around. And actually, my partner too, he's not originally Swiss, he's German. So he also doesn't have too much here. He has like his friends, but also not in Zurich because he grew up somewhere else in Switzerland. So I think it's still just 10 times more important. But also, even if he would have like a bunch of friends and I all love them, but I still need my
it's,
community. Yeah, I think that's
it's so
very
important.
important, especially for also growing like career wise. I think it's important, but also to just have someone for me and also more females. I really think we
Yes.
should stick together. I think that's very, very important.
Absolutely. We've gone so far from what it used to be. I think there, as far as I like Google searched it long ago that there's been women's clubs since like the I don't know, the 20s or something.
Yeah,
And I don't think that's, I think we know. I think we know from little girls, I think we know since the beginning of time that like we get together and our bond makes us all stronger and we empower each other and support each other. And we just know that. I think it's like so deeply ingrained in us.
yeah,
Um, no, it's special. That's why I love this community because of all the ladies in it. And it's such a valuable lesson to teach your kids as well, to prioritize your own people, your own individual life and happiness, and they pay attention to you intentionally making friends and really keeping to yourself, because your romantic partner can't be your everything.
That's so true.
It's so
And
true.
yeah. And also talking about teaching kids, I just realized I didn't talk anything about how I get into the sewing and this part, which we started with.
I would have asked you.
Yeah. So when I was pregnant and in Norway, I finally also got to spend some time again with my family that I didn't really see for the time I was in Greece. Barely spoke with them even because I didn't have time. So I lived then just across the street from my grandmother and spent a lot of time with her when I was not working. And I worked shift too, so I could spend like many mornings with her. And I always knew that she could sew and she was good at it. So I wanted to have this baby nest for my daughter that she could sleep in, like on the sofa, to be a bit more protected. And I saw that someone had made a beautiful one themselves. So I asked her, could you please make this for me? And I will buy the fabrics. And she's like, yeah, just buy them and I will do it. But she tricked me actually. So when I came to her house, she said, here's the sewing machine. You can try it yourself. And I have never thought of myself as a creative person. I never thought I had patience to do anything like this or that I was crafty with my hands. But then I learned that in 2 hours, and I had finished this baby nest just an hour after. And it's possible. And I thought, if I can do this, everyone can.
Yeah.
And I always thought like that's something magical. Like only few people do that. Like you have to be talented. It's not true. It can be taught, and it could be also very fun. And the sewing machine was also quite faster than I thought because I tried knitting before, and that was not for me. It was way too slow.
Yeah.
And I spent my whole pregnancy there when I was not working to just sew. So I made a bunch of things for I have quite small sisters. So I made a lot of things for them and for my coming daughter.
Oh my
And
God.
for my boyfriend that was away, I made a lot of things for him for the apartment and just had a lot of fun. And I realized also how much the fabrics cost. And then I thought it doesn't make sense anything of the prices of what we have like in
In shops.
H&M or in
Mm.
just normal stores. Like the time you spend to make this and the cost of the fabrics, that doesn't make sense at all. Something is wrong here, and we see that, of course, many places that in the
Yes.
fabrics, and it's just slavery. It's so
Yes.
bad the conditions. I started to read up on this, and combined with me always being very cautious about the environment. I have been vegan for the environment and a bit for the animals too, but for 9 years now. So this is very strong for me that everything I do should be as sustainable as possible. So I decided to go and check out the secondhand stores and figured out, hey, I can use these old curtains and to make something. And yeah, this is what I've been focusing on the whole time. And also when I moved to Switzerland, I worked in security in Norway before, and I really didn't want to go back to that. It's often shift work. I didn't feel the love for that anymore. I wasn't ready to like sacrifice myself to secure anyone else after having kids.
Yes.
So yeah, the years that I've been here in Switzerland, I knew that I had to change something. I didn't know what career to go in, so I was very happy to be home with my kids for 4 years. But then I saw, okay, I also need to develop my skills a little bit, go out there, get to know people, and feel that I am also thriving. I really needed that.
Yeah. And contributing.
Yes.
Yes.
So I have been to all of the Brocchi secondhand store in Zurich about 100 times probably, and I have made everything, like almost everything I'm wearing, everything my kids are wearing, everything I have around in the apartment, all the gifts I give away, they have all been like made of secondhand fabric. And I thought, maybe I can teach this skill to other people too, or inspire other people to do the same. And even if it's just altering something that is broken, or you have to fix like the length of your pants, or what, it's such a useful skill, and it actually doesn't require that much, either time or equipment.
And it double backs on so many things. I mean, you get in such a flow when you're creating something. So for me, it's painting. I don't have a sewing machine. I wish I did because I have pants that are too long that really annoy me because I've got short girl issues.
Yeah.
But just the neuroscience behind having a hobby that uses both your hands. There's so much studies to say how good that is for your brain. So that in alone is helpful. Then creating something out of nothing, just from your head or whatever, even if it's a mess, there's something so rewarding about you having your hands on something and you've created it and here it is. It's enough people don't know how rewarding that is to your soul. It's like it really is like soul food. And even if it's rubbish, I mean, I remember I had dogs and I made a dog's bed because I just saw the prices of it in the Coop. And I had curtains that I was shortening. And at the end of the curtains, I had all this material. And I thought, well, instead of getting this really ugly, expensive dog bed, it's just like a square. Surely it's easy. And I
Yeah.
didn't have a sewing machine, but I did it by hand. And then at least my dog's bed matched in my house. And I thought, awesome. And it lasted for years. And I was like,
So
I even made it
cool.
like have and it had like clip-ons and everything. And it's so silly, but that was like the most rewarding piece of furniture in my house.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also you take a lot better care of things if you have made them yourself or you know what is behind. And
Yeah,
I
you
think
see
that's
the
so
value
true.
in it.
Yeah. And we have done like, I do this together with my friend Marina, this sustainable the sewing business. And we have done now a couple of workshops for kids and just seeing the kids being so focused with their hands and especially using the machine. They love it. And from going from just having an old pillowcase or something and seeing the whole process, measuring it, cutting it out, using the scissors, being a bit precise, using clips or pins to hold it together, and then using the machine, and then the face of the kids when they're finished. Oh, it's priceless. And immediately they all ask, "Oh, can we do one more? Can we do it again?" And I think it's so nice. And like you said, it's so many aspects of it where for the sustainability, for them, like kids seeing that it's not, everything is not waste. And
Yes,
even if you had looked at it as waste before, it can become something new.
exactly. And um, for me, I think what's important is when you know something is made, how it's made, you see it differently. Um, it's even food. Like if you take a small example, if you go and I actually do this exercise often for people who say that their diet is perfect. And I'll ask them to buy some product that comes in a package, and I'll say, okay, go and make this. And there'll be ingredients there that they can't buy
Yeah.
because it's it's flavorants and stabilizers and stuff. When you make something, you see how much time goes in it, you see how much effort goes in it, how much money went in it, and you appreciate things differently, or you just look at them differently. And I think kids in general are privileged because we just give out of love as parents. But there's all this abundance of materialistic stuff in the world. I mean, we're practically hoarding as a humanity. We're like hoarding, drowning in our stuff. And then we're just consumers who just keep buying more and more and more. And it's one thing if your grandparents knew where it all came from. I mean, I remember going to kids' camps where we learned about where the milk comes from and we do all that. But I just don't know if kids are learning about how everything is made, where it's all come from, and then they lose the disconnect. It's the same thing as about being a vegan. When you see these things on a shelf, you just can easily disconnect it from being a piece of an animal at one point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you miss the disconnect of how it got from A to B. And then you just
Absolutely.
absolutely just go, go, go on this, and you just didn't know where it came from. And to be, I don't mean to be brash or anything, but if you had to make a child kill the chicken and then eat it,
Yeah, yeah,
it's a
yeah.
different story. And the chances they might do. I used to go fishing, have to kill the fish, gut it, clean it, whatever, and then eat it.
Yeah,
That's fine, but at least you're making an informed decision.
yeah.
Whereas
True.
now we're just giving and giving and giving, and
I
there's no,
remember
yeah,
also seeing with when I was pregnant, I was in some breastfeeding groups where adults, mothers wrote, actually, I only realized now that the cows actually had to be pregnant to have milk. So, and then I was like, yeah, you know what? I didn't really think about it myself either. Like in this way, that each milk that is coming through is meant for a calf. And of course, I can see some people think that that's fine if it's excess milk, or they think the calf can have other milk. Okay, but that they didn't make this connection before they were pregnant and breastfeeding themselves.
And the more cows, and then you have to go further down the rabbit hole because then you're thinking, well, okay, then where are all those babies going? And then when you, oh,
Yeah,
it's like I think most people don't want to know because then they'll have to like really look at it, you know.
yeah, yes, that's
And
true.
we need to take a hard look at ourselves and how our contribution is. And a lot of people think like the damage is done,
Yeah,
like the thing is on the shelf, I might as well buy it.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg?
yeah.
Are there new clothes? Is there always new clothing because we're keeping up with the buying?
It is,
Because,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, for sure, there would be more secondhand clothing stores if there was more support and a higher price. Exactly. And
Yeah,
people often put this disconnect of secondhand, whatever, being much cheaper. And it's like, what are we paying for actually? Where's the value lying? Is it in the brands? We really have screwed up the values of humanity. And it's like you can look at every area and dissect it and just be like, shit, how did we get so off course?
yeah, yeah,
Shocking. That's
yeah,
so wonderful that you've been able to teach your kids this.
yes.
Are they sewing now?
Yeah, my daughter, she's 5. She sometimes asks me if she has an afternoon at home. She asks, Mom, can I sew a heart today? Or can we make a bag together? She really enjoys it. And she also wants to make gifts for
Oh.
her friends. It's very nice.
And I saw you had a workshop not long ago at
Yeah,
in
yeah, we did.
Züri. How do you do these workshops? Just so I know. I mean, we definitely want to have one where you can host us.
Yeah, the last one we
How do
did
you
was
normally do
also for
it?
an expat group, actually, Zurich together. And it was really nice. It was introduction to sewing and textile decoration. So it was, I guess, our fifth course. We only just started like in December, so we're quite fresh and trying to figure out what works. We were a bit too much optimistic with the time, but everyone finished in the end. But it was lovely. It was 9 people. It was only one who already knew how to sew,
Oh,
but
wow.
still, everyone in 2.5 hours managed to make their tote bag by themselves from scratch, which they also decorated. Some wrote like
Yeah.
some nice poems on it or drawings, and yeah, I think it was very nice, and yeah, people love it. This it, so many people also don't, yeah, think the same as me, that I cannot do that. I'm not crafty. Like it's not for me, or they're a bit afraid of the needle. And it's possible for everyone. It really is.
Now, do
So
you have um a studio where you have machines, or how do you facilitate all of this?
no, not yet. But we have realized to make this worth it for us, also money wise, we would
Yeah.
have to do that, because right
Yeah.
now we're just renting rooms and bringing all the stuff back and forth for each workshop. And when it comes to like 6 to 10 sewing machines and ironing boards, ironers, like all of this to bring
Oh my
each place,
God.
have to use the car, and then parking in Zurich is not that easy. All this, it takes just too much time. So after, yeah, in the fall, we're hoping to find an atelier somewhere in Zurich, maybe a collaboration with someone or something like this. Because yeah, then we
That's
can
nice.
have more workshops more regularly. We don't have to move everything back and forth. And yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And so ideally, would you want a workshop in Zurich that people go to and you host these things, or where do you envision it going to?
I would love to have a mix of atelier that people can come visit and maybe even buy some upcycled products, but also a
Yes.
place where you can come for private or bigger classes regularly. So having some one-off events, maybe for YM&Z or for other groups, or just some regular, like, after school for kids every Monday or something. So yeah, I think a mix of a bit of everything would be
Yeah, it's so
perfect.
excellent. As far as I can tell, I work for a family that has a child, and he has a long list of things he can do, but I don't think sewing is on there. And I think it's a very cool experience and also for something that an adult who can do with their child, that that you can do it together. Because I did a lot of fabric painting and decoupaging and stuff with my mom, and it was like a bonding experience. And then
Oh,
having
yeah.
that thing where you can see it, there's like nothing else like it. It's
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
great.
And I see so many people, and like I'm in tons of sewing groups on like, Facebook and Instagram, and I see it's so popular now to use like the grandmother's old embroidered like table covers or curtains and make them into dresses or bags. And this
Wow.
way it will just stay with you for generations and generations. And I think it's so cool that you have items that you know that like someone far long ago really did and made with their hands with love, and now you can do it, or things you have made with your mom, like said, it just means a lot later.
That's so true. You know, as women, a lot of us save or have our mother's wedding dresses or our grandmother's, but we only do it with that one thing. We don't really carry lots of old things around with us. And I love that. I think the only things I brought back from South Africa was some clothes that I could have taken or leaving, to be honest. But
Yeah,
it was more the antiques and things from my grandmother that I brought over. And I love antiques. I think we don't need more, and often more like what's now is cheap,
yeah.
and I don't know. We just keep buying and getting rid of and buying and getting rid of. And I think also in Switzerland, there's this, you know, you can recycle, but I don't know if there's as much of like, you know, like just putting it out there for someone to take care of isn't necessarily good for the environment. Are you still doing the purchasing? Is the point?
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely the point. And I think also a lot goes to that you have to put more thought, like thinking, do I really need this item? Will I like this item in 2 years? So, like, will I take care of this item if something happens with it? And I think it's we should try to think about ticking all these boxes before we buy something. Like, do I really need it? I think
Yes.
going thinking about this for a week or two, and if you are unsure, then no, you don't need it. Then you can buy if there's something you need, like maybe just a new swimsuit or something like this. Okay, I understand, but think
Yeah.
about these things. And if you just need a plain t-shirt, oh, there's so many of them in the secondhand stores that maybe was the wrong size or color for someone, but it might be the right one for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's a weight that's lifted off of you when your wardrobe is less.
Yeah.
Because half of women, I don't know if I can speak for all women, but when you reach your cupboard and now it's like, what am I going to wear? And it's cupboards full of stuff.
Yeah.
Half of it lands up on a chair somewhere in the corner, and you put this one thing on and it's never a good day to wear it, and you put another thing on and you land up wearing the same effing t-shirt with the jeans every day or something. And it's
Yeah.
just, it's weird that we know that and we all struggle with this issue, and yet we hang on to these things that we don't need. We really don't need. We don't even wear. And it's just about for the day, for the occasion. I think it's really, it's such a weight off your mind to have less, to just go there, get what you need because there's only five or whatever to choose from. Such a pleasure because it's just, oh, there's just too much. There's just too much in the world. And if you're
Oh,
an empath like you and me, I have to look at good news, because if I look at the bad news, I
yeah.
just see we're swimming in rubbish and clothing, and it's
Absolutely. Yeah. I have to take news breaks where I like have a week sometimes where I just like I'm not reading news this week because it's been too overwhelming. So
yeah.
then I would need to focus on the other things as well. And then I love getting behind the sewing machine or doing some small embroidery just because my mind disappears in this time. It's so therapeutical. Like when you're reading a really good book and you cannot stop, you're just there
Yes.
and suddenly like 4 hours have passed by
Oh, that
and you just
state of
been
flow is
yeah,
so good for you. It's
it
so
is.
good for you. And we are so removed from it, most of us. And you forget, like, because you'll have that moment once
Yeah.
and you think that was great. And then you walk away from it, and it's like either you've got to write it down, or what's going to make you remember how great it felt just to read that book or to sew that thing.
Yeah.
Because we often do something that's good for us and it goes out the door and we revert back to old things that aren't good for us. And
Yeah.
it's silly, but sewing is, I agree. For me, it's painting. I need to get a sewing machine probably because I'm doing a terrible hand job. Um, so maybe I need to go to one of your workshops or something. But
Yeah, but
I wanted to ask you, just going back to your work there with the Northern Lights Aid. What is it that what is the most memorable thing that happened to you when you were working there or doing that?
oh, I can tell you exactly what date and time that was. That was 28 October in 2015 in the afternoon. I was working then as a coordinator for the organization I was working for. And I got a call from someone saying, okay, there's a huge boat. It looks like it's like hundreds of people. It's coming from Turkey towards us. We were in Lesbos at this time. And they could only see like a huge white boat with tons of this orange life vest on with their binoculars. So, and then I think 5 minutes after, my phone was just bombarded with messages because everyone saw this. Normally, it was just these small dinghies that came with like plastic boats with maybe up to 50 people. They could fit 50 people in this that are made for 10. But this time it was a huge, huge wooden boat. So I went to this like viewpoint area we had by the rocks, huge rocks, and also I was standing there and I was planning how we needed enough people, food, healthcare, transportation, and all of this to be ready when they were coming. And I was talking, taking into phones, and then suddenly we looked out there and it was like, where is the boat? And we looked at the binoculars, and just like some seconds after, we could just see the water, like far out. It was a bunch of life vests and people in the water, and it was like halfway through, between Lesbos and Turkey. It's really far away, and like even with the binoculars, it was just like small dots that we saw. And then, of course, it started with calling the Coast Guard and all of this, and the next, I would say 12, 24 hours, they were just crazy. Luckily for me, I'm the kind of person who thinks the clearest when it's the most messy. That's probably why I were liking the security job before. But at this time, more than 80 people drowned, and so many people lost, like the parents or babies drowned. It was terrible. And I was at the harbor in the evening there, and when the rescue boats or fisher boats came with people they had helped into the harbor, we were helping them with dry clothing, food, trying to find their family members, gathered everyone who had were missing someone in one room, so that they hopefully could find each other, or to help call hospitals and ask if someone was there, because in the evening was also ambulances coming to take the most needed to hospital. But in between doing a lot of CPR, helping and warming small kids, I saw this one girl that was trying to get off the boat. She was about 11, 12 years at that time. And she asked, where's mama, where's papa? She couldn't really talk much English, but everyone knows mama and papa. And after some time, we realized that she also had 3 smaller siblings that she also were missing. Like, very, very long story short, she had lost all of them. They all drowned. And she found out later, I've been in contact with this girl ever since. She found out she had an aunt and some cousins in Sweden. Went there. Sweden denied her asylum case because she had already gotten protection in Greece, and she was sent back alone as a minor, as an orphan, to Greece, knowing no one, not knowing the language, just because that's where she got the asylum first, because that's the first country she came to. And she was denied being with her family that she had left, because that was not close enough family, because the close enough family were all dead. Doesn't make sense at all. But this girl, she's just the strongest girl I know. She's now 18, still in Greece, working on getting some school done to be able to be there long enough to also get a passport, and then she's free to move within Europe to find a job or studies in Sweden. That would be her dream. Also, just in about 1 year in Sweden, she managed to speak fluent Swedish. This girl is so clever. I don't know how she holds up, but she manages. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows us that we have no excuse.
Yeah, we don't.
and when you see that, um, yeah, you can't look back. There's no not seeing that once you've seen
No.
that. So now I completely understand why you are so compassionate and courageous and empathic. Yeah, I have also, in a way, small ways, seen humanity at its
Yeah.
most cruel, and nature can be cruel, and this when a natural disaster picks one over another,
Yeah. That's true.
um, it's really humbling, and you really feel like a speck, but it also makes you want to make every second count.
Yeah.
So I
It does.
think that's exactly why she does it, because she knows how precious life is,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden time is a different thing to you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Incredible story. Thank you for sharing it with me. So you say that Northern Lights Aid is still going.
Yeah, it is. We're working in a beautiful place in Greece called Kavala. It's close to the Bulgarian-Turkish border, and it's a lovely place. It's but one of the few camps that actually is close to the sea and the city. Almost all the camps in Greece, they're just placed in industrial areas, far away from everyone and everything. Uh, but yeah, it's a place that is quite far from the bigger cities like Thessaloniki and Athens, so it's not so many other organizations there. That's also why we chose it, because we saw that that's where it was a big need. It was not so easy for volunteers, other people to get there, but it was where we were needed.
Wow.
So we
So
have,
I hope you share the links with me, so anyone who
yeah,
wants to reach out or support in any, I'm sure there will be. Our community is pretty compassionate too, so I'm sure there'll be someone
yes,
who wants to support. So send me the links, and also to your sewing
yes,
workshops, anything that you've got. You have to share everything with me so I can share it in the show notes.
thank
But
you. I will do
just
that.
wow, thank you so much for sharing it with me. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you wish you would have shared with us?
Ooh, hmm. I think we have touched most of the things that are very important for me, and we talked a lot. So no, I think we're good for now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know people are complex, and when we say meet someone, as you can hear, our stories are so complex and so long.
Yes.
And wow, I'm just so grateful that you shared with me. But before we go, can I ask you the final 5 questions that I ask every lady?
Yes, sure.
They're just quick and fun ones. Um, if your 18-year-old self saw you today, what would they be happy about, and what would make them sad?
Oh, I think 18-year-old me would be very happy that I have traveled, that I've been around learning more. Because when I was 18, I was quite a party animal, just cared about having fun, didn't really know anything about what was going on in the world. When I went to Greece, I didn't even know where Lesbos was or Greece was on the map almost. So I think I would be very happy about that. Maybe I would be a bit, maybe not sad, but a bit shocked that I didn't have like a higher degree in anything, because I really was so planning on like studying a lot, becoming something, having a big degree. And yeah, maybe also in Norway, everyone owns their own house. So that I also, at the age of 33, don't own a house or apartment. I also probably would have been a bit sad about.
Yeah, it's funny what we expected from our lives when we were younger and more ignorant.
Yes.
Now some of these things seem a little bit like
Yeah, it's okay. Like I'm so happy that things turn out the way they did. So
exactly. Okay, what makes you feel awkward and why? Oh no, not why. Well, you can tell me why, but I'm sure it'll be
yes. So
self-explanatory.
what makes me feel awkward? Oh, I'm actually, yeah, if someone like shouts at me, then I struggle. Like I get completely, no, why are you doing this? I don't deserve this. Even if it, yeah, okay. I don't know if anyone has actually shouted at me because it was deserved. I don't know, but when it's not deserved, if someone is just screaming something at you, and yeah, this makes me, I don't know what to do then. Yeah, this is the worst.
Especially if you're not one to retaliate, then it's
Yeah.
like I don't know what to do with this hate that's coming my way,
Yeah, and I come from a family that is not loud or anything. We're just
or
handling things
confrontational.
very quietly, and yeah, we
Yeah.
talk to each other, but after we have thought a bit, and then in a very, very quiet manner. So yeah,
Is that from where you came from? Because
yeah,
it's not my
no,
not where I came from. It wasn't like that.
Oh, I think it's a very Norwegian way of doing it.
Well, there's something to be said for that too. Let's say there's good sides and bad sides to that. Okay, if you had a surprise day off,
Hmm.
how would you want to spend it, and are you likely to spend it that way?
Oh, how a surprise day off. My favorite thing is just, maybe go and have my feet in the water and have a nice drink with a good friend. I think
Oh.
that, yeah.
And are you likely to do that, or are you
Yes.
someone who?
No, I
Oh,
am.
great.
I am. Yes.
Good for you. I have to learn from all you ladies who answer that one well, because what I'm likely to do and what I want to do aren't always the same thing.
No, I think it depends on what you also say on the first question there. Because, yeah, because it can be quite like, go for a huge hike or something. And that, of course, is a bit harder to maybe facilitate on a surprise day. So, yeah.
Yeah, if I have a surprise day, I have all these dreams of going next to the lake and reading a book, but the list of things to do is endless, and it's very tempting to get to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you live so close to the lake. You should try to do it.
Oh, I do. I
Yeah.
do. Don't get me wrong, but surprise days off sometimes are spent working just because also I love what I do. But yeah,
Yes.
I
Oh,
need
I know
to
that.
find more of a balance.
Yes.
Okay. What makes someone most attractive?
Oh, empathy for sure. Yeah, I see when my partner was not vegan or not so much caring, like when I met him, but just seeing him now in discussions, really like, no, how the animals are treated, and really defending either like if it's refugees or if it's some other minorities or if it's animals, like just seeing him defending something out of empathy for it, it just makes, oh, yeah, very attractive.
I agree.
Mhm.
Um, what would someone who knows you really, really well say about you to somebody who doesn't know you?
Oh, I think they would say a good thing is that I stretch far to help my friends. I really go a long way, maybe too long sometimes that I forget about myself. Uh, Also, now I've been better at it, but I talk a lot and fast. But I think I got better about it.
I think that's good. They're not talking enough.
Yes, yeah.
Definitely.
Yes, true.
And what do you want more of, or what do you want from Yumi and Zuri that I can add to our list of to-dos?
Oh, I guess even more meetups because I still didn't manage to go to one, and I would love to. Um, yeah, no, I think I've seen a lot of the good things you do, and for me, like I said, I would like to meet other people also for the career. So this like some even more like the business, talking about business empowerment together with other like-minded. I really would like.
And entrepreneurs maybe,
Yes,
because that's
yes,
what you are.
exactly.
Okay,
This,
that's great.
but
This
also
is how
I
I can
really
catch
enjoy just
people
going
giving me
out, having a drink. Yeah, yeah.
feedback. One member at a time.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Charlie, for your time. And it was so good to
Thank
meet you
you.
officially. Ever since I read about what you do, I just thought, and also I think I have a soft spot for Charlie's, even though I didn't know your official name because my parrot's name was Charlie.
Oh,
But thank you so much. And I really love what you do.
thank
And
you. You
we've got
too.
other members in the group who are also into sustainability and fashion. And I'm sure there are very cool collaborations to be made.
Yeah, I think so too.
Very cool. So thank you so much. And yeah, and welcome. I hope to meet you soon at one of the events or meetups. And
Oh,
we'll
I'm sure.
definitely add our entrepreneur group to the list.
Yeah, perfect. And thank you
Awesome.
so much for having this podcast and the group. It's really nice. We need community, so it's very,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
important.
I love it. My pleasure.
Mm.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening to my conversation with Charlie. If you enjoyed my conversation with Charlie, please do check out the Conversation Meet a Member with Kim Janssen. Kim also creates sustainable products in Malta, and now she's bringing it to Switzerland. So be sure to check that out. Thank you again, Charlie, for your time. Wonderful that you've shared your story with the community, and it's good to have you with us. Until next time, have a fantastic weekend, and ciao for now.